Good morning, good afternoon, and welcome. Thank you so much for joining the Parliament of the World's Religions monthly time of prayer. Each month, beginning this year, the current trustees of the Parliament and former trustees of the Parliament, we join together for a time of just bringing our collective prayer energy together. Certainly, we are living in a time when our leaders, our people all over the world need to be lifted up in prayer, given that there's so much going on at this particular time. So for every person that is in pain and in hunger and living in conditions that are unthinkable, and even our planet, as it is in peril even in this moment, we think about if we, the Parliament of the World's Religions trustees, can just be sort of a beacon of hope, a beacon of light, and hold that, knowing that all the things that we are facing in the current days, as we bring our collective faiths together, we can be encouraging to one another, lift up our leaders to help them continue to serve in integrity and truth, and pray that people all over the world will be lifted up from conditions of poverty and fear and worry and feeling the effects of war and oppression. So we come together to be a beacon of light. And today we have 4 presenters who are going to each share with us. I will introduce them and we'll ask them to introduce themselves as we go through this time of prayer. We do this, it's a 20-minute prayer, so thank you if you're joining. It's 20 minutes in and out, but it's worth it once a month to just join together with our fellow trustees and support each other in prayer and reflection. So first up today is going to be Kusumita Pedersen. I've asked each person to introduce themselves, their length of time on the board, religious affiliation, and share a 4-minute prayer or reflection. Kusumita, thank you.
Thank you so much, Charline, and it's just a joy to be with you all. And I'm Kusumita Pedersen, and I'm here in the great borough of Queens in New York City, the most religiously diverse place you can imagine. And I'm a scholar and teacher of religious studies, but now retired from full-time teaching. I've been in the interfaith movement for 40 years and on the board of the Parliament since the mid-1990s. And in 1971, I accepted as my spiritual teacher a meditation master from India, Sri Chinmoy. And he was originally from East Bengal and came to this country in 1964. He passed away in 2007. He wrote thousands of poems, and I'm going to share just a few of them. They're brief. And he wrote poems in English, and also he wrote thousands of songs in his native language, Bengali, and they are beautiful poems in Bengali, but so are his English translations. These are mystical poems. They're concerned with the direct experience of spiritual realities and of God. So without further comment, let me just read. These first 2 I chose, they're my favorites, have a quality of incantation. In the desert silence, I saw God, the warrior. In the forest silence, I saw God, the lover. In the mountain silence, I saw God, the dreamer. In the ocean silence, I saw God, the awakener. In the sky silence, I saw God, the liberator. Next is intense devotion. I long to be one with the dust of your feet. I long to be one with the smile of your eyes. I long to be one with the love of your heart. I long to be one with the oars of your boat. I long to be one with the glow of your promise. I long to be one with the flow of your life. I long to be one with the victory of your banner. The next are the poet's translations from his Bengali. And they describe the state of union and liberation. Beyond speech and mind, into the river of ever-effulgent light, my heart dives. Today, thousands of doors, closed for millennia, are opened wide. My consciousness dances with boundless sky and air. It also sports with the waves of the sea, and I am on the top of the mountain peak. No place there is on earth where my consciousness is not. I am offering my self-form to the service of the Absolute Supreme. And the last one was inspired by an experience at Dal Lake in Kashmir, one of the most beautiful places in the world. Today, the hallowed hour of highest delight has dawned in this life. Today, I have made friends with the light of the Supreme. Darkness no more, darkness nowhere. Beyond the river of hope, I see the boat of the transcendental realm. The night of eons is captured, and its surrender is made in the deepest depth of my heart, at the feet of my inner sun. Thank you.
Thank you, Kusumita. Truly encouraging words. Thank you so much. Let's go to our next speaker will be Scott.
Hi, all. Scott Stearman. I am a pastor, but for the last over 10 years, I've been the primary representative of the Baptist World Alliance at the United Nations, working on advocacy projects around human rights and religious freedom and country-specific advocacy around places like Burma. So I'm glad to be with you. I've been on the board since, this will be year number 5. I'll rotate off at the end of 2026, which used to seem like a long time away, but not so much anymore. I am a Baptist, Christian, of course, a lifelong Baptist, and our faith family, like I suspect most of yours, is a very diverse group. And so I tend to be on the progressive side of our faith family, and I try not to be rear end about it. I decided what I would share with you today is a gospel text. It's a famous story of Jesus. So it's a story of Jesus telling a story, which is quite common in the Gospels. And this comes from this Sunday's lectionary text. Many of us across the Christian spectrum share a program of reading of the scriptures that every Sunday there's an array of texts. And so this Sunday's gospel text comes from Luke's gospel. And I'm going to read this as my reflection. And I'm not going to add much commentary to this, but rather let it speak for itself. I will emphasize what I think is a primary question here. I'm looking at my time. So again, Luke, comes from chapter 12, and many of you will recognize this story. Someone in the crowd said to Jesus, "Teacher, tell my brother to divide the family inheritance with me." But Jesus said to him, "Friend, who set me to be a judge or an arbiter over you, or in your family, of course?" And he said to the crowd, "Take care. Be on guard against all kinds of greed, for one's life does not consist in the abundance of possessions." Then Jesus told them a parable. And the land of a rich man produced abundantly. And this man, this farmer, thought to himself, what should I do? For I have no place to store my crops. And so he said to himself, well, I'll do this. I'll pull down my barns and I'll build larger ones, and there I'll store all my grains and all my goods. And I will say to my soul, soul, you have ample goods laid up for many, many, many years. Relax and eat and drink and be merry. But God said to him that very night, you fool, tonight your life is being demanded of you. And the things you have prepared, whose will they be? And the things you have prepared, whose will they be? And so it is with those who store up treasures for themselves, but are not rich in things towards God. Thus ends the reading.
Scott. That is truly something to take in for reflection and ask ourselves the question, yes. Ooh, for whom are we storing up those things we store up? Yes. Let's continue. Thank you, Scott. Mahrukh.
Thank you, Charline, and good morning to all of you. My name is Mahrukh Motafram. I serve as a trustee on the Parliament Board. This is my second term as a trustee. My faith is Zoroastrianism, and offer to you verses and reflection from the Gathas of Zarathustra that are hymns of Zarathustra, are foundational scriptures from over 3,000 years ago. It is an introduction to a moral and ethical philosophy filled with fundamental principles that still resonate today. In today's world, filled with challenges that often seem unsurmountable, I sometimes wish that a divine presence would descend from the heavens to solve our problems here on earth. However, I also know that the power to change the present and shape a brighter future for all humanity lies within us. As humans, we possess the ability and capacity to bring about the change we seek. It begins with each one of us as individuals. 3,000 years ago, the world was in turmoil, and for the first time in human history, a new path was revealed, a path grounded in truth, known as Asha, which can be perceived through the use of the good mind. The importance of the mind and its pivotal role in guiding our lives to reflect and to think for ourselves are unique attributes that each one of us holds. These attributes can play a significant role in transforming lives for the better. As the Gathas of Zarathustra teach us, I quote from the hymns, one of the hymns of Zarathustra. I quote, "Yes, to those of you who know, I shall speak of those things which must be borne in mind, even by those who already know, through both praise and worship, for the very wise master of good thinking and for truth, which should be embraced with joy throughout your days." End of quote. There's another one, which is by far one of my favorite. Listen to your ear to the best things. Reflect with a clear mind, a man or man for himself, upon the two choices of decision, being mindful to declare yourselves to him before the time of the final judgment. These hymns are not just spiritual guidance, but a call to purpose and unity. They emphasize that humanity can serve and honor the divine more meaningfully by enacting the principles of truth and good thinking among ourselves, rather than through reference based on fear or dread. God deserves praise and worship, chiefly because he created and offered us the instruments of the good earth, plants, water, animals, and humanity itself, all of which provide the means for dignity and happiness in our lives. Personally, it brings comfort and solace to realize that all of humanity has been entrusted with the responsibility to recognize and protect God's creations. We are called to safeguard and preserve what is precious. However, the caveat remains. Humanity will be saved from the cruelty of the world only if we respond to each other according to our lofty principles of Asha that God has given us all. It is through our commitment to these principles, with determination and spirit, that we can bring about transformation during these tumultuous times we face. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mahrukh. That was so nourishing. I captured the power to change the present lies within us. Well, thank you. It's always a good reminder. And last but certainly not least, our speaker is Akbar. Amen.
Thank you, Charline, and greetings to our distinguished colleagues. Muslim invocation, very popularly used throughout the world in the daily routine, is Bismillah Rahman Rahim. And the first verse in the Holy Quran is Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. And I've often thought about these verses from the Quran and how they relate to my ordinary life living in this world with so much conflict and violence around me, particularly relating to different cultures, different religions, and the debates within my own faith, large faith now, straddling the world. And to resolve this, I have started reading a great deal in religious philosophers and scholars. And one of the great Muslim scholars, Muslim philosophers, a man called Al-Farabi, who lived 1,000 years ago, one of those who lived in the great age of Islam. Farabi was so famous in his time and later for centuries that he was called the second Aristotle. And he also brought Greek thinking into Islam. And of course, he went on to influence other great scholars like Ibn Sina, legendary scholar, and even Rabbi Maimonides, the legendary Jewish scholar, very famous name. Now, Al-Farabi began to face exactly the same problems, how to relate philosophy and spiritual ideas with the reality of a world in constant turmoil. And he calculated it this way, and I would like my colleagues to share this. He said that God in Islam has two names, Rahman and Rahim, the two names I've just recited. And his Rahman and Rahim meaning the beneficent, the compassionate. And he's also Al-Haq. He describes himself as Haq, the truth. And not human truth, but absolute divine truth. And Al-Farabi argued as a philosopher that if God is merciful and compassionate and is the truth, then the integrity and validity of the other great faiths, whether Hinduism or whether Laoism or Confucianism, also have equal validity in their approach to the divine, and therefore must be accepted as faith and therefore to be embraced. And that is why when Muslims say Rabbal Alameen, it confirms this philosophy, because Rabbal Alameen means the God, the Lord of all the universes. It does not exclude, it does not say my God versus your God. It embraces a very inclusive, embracing humanity as such, in fact, the universe is. And I find that these verses help me, and reading Al-Farabi, to make some sense of how to proceed in this world and create bridges of friendship and harmony in a world where these bridges are sometimes not being constructed, sometimes falling apart. Thank you, Charline, for all the inspiring work you do and this wonderful team that you have assembled. Thank you.
Beautiful. And would you just share your name and when you served on the Parliament board, please?
Well, Charline, my name is Akbar Ahmed. I'm the Ibn Khaldun Chair of Islamic Studies at American University, and I've had a longish association with the great Parliament. I've been associated and I've been constantly in touch and being inspired by your members. And I hope to be in the future more closely in touch. In fact, if I request you, Charline, to share some of the addresses of our colleagues, I would very much like to be in touch with them. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you. We appreciate you so much. We appreciate all of our presenters today. I didn't introduce myself at the top. I guess I should. I'm Reverend Charline Manuel. I'm a New Thought Unity minister, and I am the chair of the Parliament of the World's Religions. And it's a pleasure to join with my colleagues at this opportunities that we might just shine a light into the dark spaces of our world, just shine that light and lift people up in this moment. As I was listening to all the wonderful prayers, a song came to mind. I'm not going to sing it, but I'll just say the words. It starts, "Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me." Dear friends, thank you for joining us today. Go forth in peace, holding that peace in our hearts and our minds. And let's see that moving throughout the cities, the states, this country, and the world. Let there be peace on earth. And so it is. God bless you all. Join us next time. Bye-bye.